It is Friday, November 15th, 2019. It is 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and so you know what time it is. It's time for a little bit of coin metal. And it was very fucked up. Get your ass kicked at Jiu-Jitsu Friday. No ass kicking involved, although there was a minor accident. While setting up to do the reps for our first technique that we were going to do today, my pants ripped. And I can only explain it in that I washed my pants, or I washed my gi, and of course I dried it, and I didn't check the heat setting on it, and apparently it was a little bit high, and so it did cause my pants to shrink just a teeny tiny. That, and when I weighed in, I was at 206 today, so I don't know. It was one of those things where I think it's because I didn't get in on the full warm-up, and so the pants weren't like warm and sweaty then, you know, and so it's like I bent down to do this technique, and I just heard fucking from my ass halfway down my thigh, the thing's ripped, so not very happy about that. Didn't get my full thing in. It was like 20 minutes into class. You know, it's like we did the warm-ups, I did part of the warm-up, and, you know, the part that I was actually there for, and then that happened. It was screwed up. Anyway, so, yeah, I didn't get any jiu-jitsu in today. I got jiu-jitsu on Wednesday. I didn't go yesterday, because I got a little bit of work around here that just has to get done, and so I've been, like, agonizing, just trying to stuff as much time as I possibly can into getting that endeavor completed. And so, yeah, I don't know, it's just kind of a goofy week in that sense. Although, you know, I've been getting in quite a bit of jiu-jitsu, and so it's not like one of those things where I've had a significant period of time off or anything like that. But yeah, I'll definitely be going back tomorrow, even though I don't typically go on Saturdays. But I need to get in more time. You know, I had this interesting experience where I hadn't done 2 in one day in a while, and mostly it's because I've got all these little injuries that I've been trying to actually mend from. And my knee's been feeling really good lately, so, you know, it feels like I'm finally ready to, you know, start getting in even more time, you know. And so the other week or last week or something like that, I put in 2 hours, and, you know, I was at this one point where I'm thinking, oh no, you know, I got into class today, you know, and I don't really need to get in a second class. And then I thought about it, I'm like, well, fuck, I know I'm gonna get out of here, and I'm not gonna feel like this when I get on the freeway. By the time I get on the freeway from here, I'm going to be wishing that I was back in class. So rather than go through all that bullshit, I'm just going to go back out there now. And the funny part about it was that, like, the next class that I did after that, I was just on fire. I mean, like, fire. You know, I mean, like, when I was going through the warm-ups, I'm, like, going through it as faster than I'd have fucking never gone through it. And so, you know, I'm just thinking to myself, you know, it's like the body is trying to tell you, push me harder, you know, but of course then I try and stretch out my arms, and my elbows kind of ache from people throwing arm bars on me. And it's like, I don't know. Yeah, I should go. But anyway, so yeah, I didn't get in a whole lot today. We got in the one technique, and the split happened. And then that was pretty much it. And all it was a drill for resuming your guard, basically. If somebody were to grab your ankles and throw them up over your head, that you'd be able to catch them in a guillotine. And then the next thing we did was the other thing. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw down into some music. I know it's short, but of course I don't really have a whole lot to report here. You know, I blew out my pants. Sorry. So let's go ahead and throw down into some music, and of course we're going to go body count. But you know, I had an interesting conversation today, and it ended relatively well, and with a a completed debate. And so here it is. Talk shit, get shot by body count. First dance. Here on Coin Metal. And that was Static X with Machine. Kind of cut that one in a little bit earlier. Did not intend to do that. It happens. Anywho, as far as what we're going to get into, first off, this one, you might have noticed that Verge's had a little bit of a bump recently. And it seems that there's been some additional movement where some people think that they're going to put too much pressure on this war to continue. And so various entities are starting to feel the pinch of the issue of being stupid and allowing other people to do your hosting for you and all that other shit. And when you're dependent upon third parties, you're dependent upon their wiles. You know, you're playing by their rules. Okay, when they want to, if you're not playing by their rules, they have the option to terminate your service. And for many of us who are working online, that kind of dependency is life and death. And so here it is. I got this thing. It's on Vice.com. PayPal pulls out of Pornhub, hurting hundreds of thousands of performers. And this is by Samantha Cole. It was authored November 14th, 2019 at 7:01 a.m. Late Wednesday night, Pornhub announced that PayPal is no longer supporting payments for Pornhub, a decision that will impact thousands of performers using the site as a source of income. And one thing here, hold on a moment. So Samantha Cole, no penis. My apologies, sir. I was slipping. Most visitors to Pornhub likely think of it as a website that simply provides access to an endless supply of free porn. But Pornhub also allows performers to upload, sell, and otherwise monetize videos they make themselves. Performers who use PayPal to get paid for this work now have to switch to a different payment method. Quote, "We are all devastated by PayPal's decision to stop payouts to over 100,000 performers who rely on them for their livelihoods," the company said on its blog. It then directed models to set up a new payment method with instructions on how PayPal users can transfer pending payments. Quote, "We sincerely apologize if this causes any delays, and we will have staff working around the clock to make sure all payouts are processed as fast as possible on the new payment methods," the statement said. A PayPal spokesperson told Motherboard, quote, "Following a review, we have discovered that Pornhub has made certain business payments through PayPal without seeking our permission. We have taken action to stop these transactions from occurring." A spokesperson for Pornhub told Motherboard, quote, "Decisions like that of PayPal and other major companies do nothing but harm efforts to end discrimination and stigma towards sex workers. While we still have several payment methods for our models available, we will continue to add more sex worker-friendly ones and explore cryptocurrency options in the near future." PayPal is one of many payment processors that have discriminated against sex workers for years. Its acceptable use policy states that, quote, "certain sexually oriented materials or services are forbidden," phrasing that's intentionally vague enough to allow circumstances like this to happen whenever the company wants. That's the point. It's their fucking company. Get over it. Continuing. "Are you a sex worker who has been impacted by the situation or any payment processors necessary?" Yeah, I'm not going to do that. The list of payment platforms, payment apps, and banks that forbid sexual services in their terms of use is very, very long and includes everything from Venmo to Visa. Many of these terms have been in place for nearly a decade. A payment and payment processors have been made hostile towards sex work long before. Have been hostile towards sex work for long before harmful legislation like the Fight Online Sex Trafficking Act came into law last year. But those laws only help to embolden companies to kick sex workers off of their platforms and make the situation even more confusing and frustrating for performers. Again, these are third-party payment service providers. What do you expect? It's their business. They have a reputation. They have investors that have significant sums of money invested in them. And those people have morals and ethics. And if their moral and ethics set doesn't match the idea of the average everyday person being able to utilize their sexual identity and monetize it for their own benefit, maybe even put some fucking food in their mouth and a roof over their head, right? They might object to that. And so they put pressure on entities like PayPal and say, hey, yo, we don't like this shit. We don't want you to fund this shit. And if you do fund this shit, we're going to take our money out of you. Or we're going to expressly regulate you harder in our jurisdiction. Or this kind of politicking goes on all the time. It's business. It is all business. But let's get real here. The whole reason we are here is because Satoshi Nakamoto got it in his head that we deserved a monetary means of transacting that didn't have these dependencies on it. That didn't have dependencies with PayPal, where PayPal could say no. Or with Visa, where Visa could say no. Or Bank of America. Or any U.S. bank. Berkshire Hathaway, whoever. Somebody between you and your investment vehicle of choice or monetary unit of choice is saying no. And the only way around that is to take that capability away from them. That means assuming that power onto yourself, which has been made possible by cryptocurrencies. And it's scary as fuck, but you know what? There isn't anything better out there. We talked about it last time with regard to that one Bitcoin transaction. Tens of millions of dollars flown from one entity to another for 40 cents. That's fucking incredible. Done in 13 minutes. Fucking incredible. Now, of course, there isn't anything to suggest or to say that, some politicking wasn't done to make that little transaction happen. Maybe some things that we're not necessarily privy to. Like that entity made arrangements with one or more mining pools that says, hey, yo, if you see these addresses, you're to give us deference and put our transactions through, include our transactions in a block. That could exist. We're not entirely, we don't know that. Mining pool operators could be pre-selling block space, saying, hey, yo, we'll give it to you at this rate and we'll eat it if it costs more on the market. But this is what we're willing to do for you. But yeah, those kind of services, invariably they overpromise. Things are going good for a while. You go through a relatively slow period on the network and everything gets nice and cushy. And then all of a sudden, one day we notice that Bitcoin is about $12,000. And we noticed that it migrated up really, really quick from $9,000 to $12,000, but in a really slow, methodical kind of way. And just one day it was just there. It didn't make any $3,000 jumps in any one day, and so nobody made any real big deal about it. But then all of a sudden, people start looking at it at $12,000, and then they start getting interested in investing in it. And then it goes to $15,000, then it's to $17,000, and oh shit, there we get we broke $20,000 again. All of a sudden, all of the shit that you were able to afford with the block space, as cheap as it was, that you're able to get this I think it was like an 80 or 90,000 or $90 million transaction, something like that. It was like 85 million or something like that. Anyway, you're able to do that transaction for 40 cents today. In 3 weeks of slow progression upward, that same transaction goes from 40 cents to about $5 for that same transaction space, or the amount of space that it was occupying in a block. And all of a sudden, we're back to where we were the last time it hit $20,000. And we'll get knocked back down to reality again. All of a sudden, block space will be hundreds of dollars per transaction fee. And most people will stop using it. And they'll switch over to altcoins. Bitcoin miners will figure it out because the network traffic will go to, tank. And we'll be right back to it. But, that's the possibilities in this market. I think people are too complacent about that. It's like, that's why I keep laughing at these people wanting to build all kinds of, settlement system, where you're doing third-party transactions off-chain, and then you're bringing, no. I mean, you have to settle to the blockchain in order to fully settle all the transactions in that payment channel. Well, if you can't afford to do that, you have to pay somebody else to do it for you. I mean, and I just imagine one day that most of the people that are currently using things like Lightning, and they're running their own node and stuff like that, I imagine that, one of these days it's going to come up that they're going to want to settle out. They are going to want to move their Bitcoin off of their node, and they're not going to be able to afford the transaction fee because it's going to be more than the actual balance that they have on their node. They won't be able to afford to do it on their own. And their third party probably won't let them. I mean, if left to the third party, it's like they won't facilitate the transaction for you. They won't pay the transaction fee for you to get your funds back out. You just got to suck it up unless you can afford that transaction fee to repatriate those funds to your own wallet. I expect that is going to happen sometime in the future. And I think a lot of people that have talked shit to me endlessly for the last 5 years about this are going to run into that nightmare, and they're going to be going, "Oh fuck, that guy was right. I could have put my Bitcoin in a wallet when it was 15 cents for me to do the transaction, and now it's $150,000 and I can't get my money out." Yeah, I know. It doesn't sound like a really likely scenario, but you know what? Bitcoin doesn't either. Back in 2009 when this shit first came around, or 2008 rather, the kind of reaction that most people had to it was laugh. They would just laugh. But how we were reading that Ravencoin white paper the other day, and it seems relatively community-based. Whether or not they actually fulfill on that remains to be seen. I'm just saying that, they're well thought in their priorities, it seems. But anyway, the Bitcoin white paper struck me the same way. When I first read it, I'm like, this could probably work. And so I tried it out myself. And, back then, when I would tell people that I was doing it and they should probably do it too, it was, "Are you kidding? You're probably going to get arrested." That hasn't really changed. There's always the possibility that a federal government somewhere could actually do some sort of crackdown. But you know what? The people that they tend to hit are those that are doing illegal shit. Like, they set up their miners at a fucking nuclear power plant or in a public transit booth or some shit like that, where, they're stealing electricity and putting it toward mining. And that gives you an idea of what the state of the networks really is. That people are compelled to steal electricity just to mine. That speaks to me volumes of how desperate the situation actually is for them. Really, how How fucking desperate would you have to be to look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? I'm going to drag 10 ASIC boxes to my job at the nuclear power plant, and I'm going to plug them into the network, and I'm going to mine from work. Give me a break. That's desperation, kids. That is utter futile desperation. But anyway, so yeah, these entities such as PayPal or any other third party, it's their business. They can tell you no. Tell them no to begin with. You can do that now with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. You're not solely restricted to them. Anywho, I've got some other stuff I wanted to get into today, and I want to see if there's anything along that vein, kind of like, no, that's not it. Yeah, that might be something we want to get into. Let's see, that was... Yeah, why not? This is on crypto-market.news, and I don't know what's up with this website. I don't know how current it is or whatever, but this particular article was authored on the 13th of November, 2019 by Jonathan Ganner. Yes, my apologies. Penis. Did Facebook Pay launch to replace Libra? Did Facebook Pay launch to replace Libra? Okay, Facebook Pay was rolled out amidst a Libra regulatory struggle. Facebook's cryptocurrency project Libra might have been doomed from the start. Libra received very little support from the cryptocurrency community, and governments eyed it with concern. Some government officials in certain countries have flat out said it would be banned in their territory. There's been previous speculation that Libra might never actually launch. Additionally, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg's hearing in Congress didn't seem to go very well. Apparently, governments seem worried that Libra would compete with the national fiat currencies. In addition to that, concerns were raised regarding user data safety. Libra was meant to be a low volatility cryptocurrency backed by a basket of assets. This included fiat backing to some extent, bonds, commodities, and possibly other assets. The basket of assets was supposed to guarantee that Libra's price would not fluctuate like most cryptocurrencies. Libra was supposed to integrate with all of Facebook's different platforms, including Instagram and WhatsApp. This is why many were surprised to see the launch of Facebook Pay earlier today. Introducing Facebook Pay. Earlier today, Facebook launched Facebook Pay, a new digital payment method to transfer funds between users. Facebook Pay is much more like PayPal than Bitcoin. Users can link a credit card to their accounts in order to send funds. Users can set up Facebook Pay app by app. Set up Facebook Pay app by app, or use one Facebook Pay on all accounts. At this moment of time, only currency that can be sent is US dollars. This is really broken English, dude. In Facebook's official announcement of Facebook Pay, which we're going to right click on right now because that's like the first thing I've ever seen on it, of Facebook Pay, you know what, we're going to go ahead and ditch this because it's like a paragraph more and this person does not understand English. Let's see here. This is the thing that led to that article. Simplifying payments with Facebook Pay. And this is by Deborah Liu, VP Marketplace and Commerce on about.fb.com. And this is authored November 12th, 2019. So no penis. Today we're introducing Facebook Pay, which will provide people with a convenient, secure, and consistent payment experience across Facebook Messenger, Instagram, and WhatsApp. People already use payments across our apps to shop, donate to causes, and send money to each other. Facebook Pay will make these transactions easier while continuing to ensure your payment information is secure and protected. With Facebook Pay, you can, quote, add your preferred payment method once and then use Facebook Pay where available to make payments and purchases on our apps instead of having to re-enter your payment information each time. Set up Facebook Pay app by app or choose to set it up for use across apps where available. That means we won't automatically set up Facebook Pay across the apps you are active on unless you choose to do so. View payment history, manage payment methods, and update your settings in one place. Get real-time customer support via live chat in the US and in more places around the world in the future. Clearly understand what payment services are part of Facebook. Facebook Pay will begin rolling out on Facebook and Messenger this week in the US for fundraisers, in-game purchases, event tickets, person-to-person payments on Messenger, and purchases from select pages and businesses on Facebook Marketplace. And over time, we plan to bring Facebook Pay to more people and places, including for use across Instagram and WhatsApp. How it works. You can start using Facebook Pay on Facebook or Messenger with just a few taps. Go to Settings, Facebook Pay on the Facebook app or website, add payment method. The next time you make a payment, use Facebook Pay. Once Facebook Pay is available on WhatsApp and Instagram, you'll be able to set it up directly within each app. Facebook Pay supports most major credit and debit cards as well as PayPal. Payments are processed in partnership with companies like PayPal, Stripe, and others around the world. Facebook Pay is built on existing financial infrastructure and partnerships and is separate from the Calibra wallet, which will run on the Libra network. Security and protection for payments. Facebook has offered trusted payment experiences since 2007, and we've processed more than $2 billion in donations alone since we launched our first fundraising tools in 2015. With Facebook Pay, we're continuing to invest in security. We designed Facebook Pay to securely store and encrypt your card and bank account numbers, perform anti-fraud monitoring on our systems to detect unauthorized activity, and provide notifications for account activity. You can also add a PIN or use your device biometrics, such as touch or Face ID recognition, for an extra layer of security when spending money or making a payment. Facebook does not receive or store your device's biometric information. No, they have a third party doing that. And they might sell your shit while Facebook doesn't. Continuing on. What's next? Facebook Pay is part of our ongoing work to make commerce more convenient, accessible, and secure for people on our apps. And in doing so, we believe we can help businesses grow and empower people everywhere to buy and sell things online. We'll continue to develop Facebook Pay and look for ways to make it even more valuable for people on our apps. Yeah. So, I don't know what to think of Facebook's Pay app. I mean, it seems like they're just trying to replace Visa now. I mean, come on now. There are only so many spots you can fill in the chain of custody when we're talking about digital transactions. And that's one of the reasons why miners were the first users of Bitcoin, because they were the first people to actually receive it and actually send it to anybody else. But yeah, it's funny, they acknowledge the fact that they have Libra and whatever the name is of their butt coin. So they've got Libra and they've also got people using other payment methods on their service, but they're not necessarily guaranteed security and privacy. So, that leads me to believe, at least, that there's probably layers to their privacy considerations, like this, that they themselves, I know it seems kind of funny that I can draw all of these inferences out from their text, but they have lawyers go over this shit. It's like they don't want to imply that they are necessarily going to be the people assessing the payments. So it could very well be a big bank, for all you know. It could be the Federal Reserve, for all you know, or it's just some small market cap company in Bangladesh, has about six employees, and they're selling your data to pretty much everybody else. That they made some stupid app that makes Facebook shit work, and so they're deferred the contract, and they're handling hundreds of billions of dollars worth of people's transactions, or at least worth of their information. And that's the thing. I think that we really do need to reassess this whole total information awareness bullshit that was set forth during the Bush era. They had this idea that they wanted to track every fucking thing happening on the internet, everything happening on every means of digital communication there is. And you only want that kind of control or that kind of surveillance capability if you intend to flex it at some point or another, that you intend to utilize it at some point or another for a specific purpose or another. And of course it's happening unbeknownst to you, so you can't really claim ownership of it, and it is happening on somebody else's network. So again, you can't really claim ownership of it, although it is yours. You're the original source for it. It didn't come from any other fucking place on the universe, but you're not going to get any credit for it because it happened on Facebook's server. And they've got better IP lawyers than you do. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw down into some music. I've got some Megadeth going on in the background, but we already played Megadeth, so sorry, Dave. I may make an exception later on in the show, but not right now. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw down with some Gizmachi, The Answer, here on Coin Metal. And that was Textures with Shaping a Single Grain of Sand. Alright, and so, if you've listened to this show long enough, you've heard us go through the multiple times when China has proposed some sort of crackdown on cryptocurrencies. They're going to end it all, world's going to end tomorrow, blah, 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 yeah, whatever. So I got this article here, it's on Coindesk.com. China is poised for another crypto trading crackdown as speculative fever returns. This is by Wolfie Zhao. So yes, penis. This is authored November 15th, 2019 at 1717 UTC. Financial regulators in China appear set to crack down on cryptocurrency trading again after President Xi Jinping's praise for blockchain technology revived speculation in the sector. Regulators in each district of Shanghai must search and inspect local crypto exchange-related services before November 22nd and report to the central bank for further actions, according to an official notice signed by Shanghai Internet Finance Rectification Agency and the Shanghai Bureau of the People's Bank of China. The notice emerged, and we're going to go ahead and right-click that link to see if it'll actually load, which it probably won't, because it's Chinese, and it don't want to load. Oh, but it's loading in Chinese. Summon a fish. Never allow. Damn it, Jim. Alright, never mind. Let's get back to that article. The notice emerged on Friday. Chinese business publication Caixin confirmed its authenticity in a report published later that evening. The effort is led by the Shanghai government's finance bureau, Caixin said. The move underscores China's complicated relationship with emerging decentralized technologies. In his speech earlier this month, President Xi called on his countrymen to, quote, accelerate the development of blockchain technology, and China has long been a favored location for Bitcoin miners. On the other hand, the government banned crypto-to-fiat trading and initial coin offerings 2 years ago, near the height of the bubble. Crypto-to-crypto trading remained accessible. According to the notice, regulators in each district of Shanghai are required to look for any entity that is organizing virtual currency trading activities inside China, or ICOs, using a blockchain. Promotional and brokerage services inside China for ICO projects that are registered outside of the country also fall under the inspection scope of the local financial regulators. Caixin said speculation on crypto has re-emerged in China following President Xi's speech earlier this month. Social media ban. Meanwhile, China's social media platform Weibo has banned users from publishing any posts that contain blockchain and crypto trading at the same time. Such content contains, quote, information that violates related laws and regulation. Oh, wait a minute. Social media platform has banned users from publishing any posts. Oh, okay. That's just outside posts. Continuing on. Such content contains information that violates related laws and regulation or Weibo's community terms, according to the message that pops up when a user tries to mention both terms. It is not clear when the restriction was put into place, and as of Friday, it is still possible to publish the phrase, quote, crypto trading or blockchain, just not together. The Shanghai government's notice also comes at a time when some exchanges are expanding their local presence to tap into the Chinese market. Binance, which has a dedicated team in Shanghai, recently rolled out peer-to-peer trading on its platform that enables users to buy or sell cryptocurrencies using Chinese yuan through bank wires, Alipay, or WeChat. On November 14th, Binance's official Weibo account was abruptly suspended by the social media platform for, quote, being complained about for violating laws and regulations. The exchange said that the suspension was due to a malicious report filed by some users to the social media platform, and it's appealing to Weibo to reopen the account. Similarly, the official Weibo account of blockchain project Tron was suspended on November 15th. A week ago, a little-known Beijing-based cryptocurrency exchange called BIS, which claims to offer a channel for Chinese investors to buy U.S. stocks using cryptocurrency, was reportedly under investigation by local police. The exchange said in an announcement on November 4th that some of BIS' operational staff are, quote, actively assisting the investigation by authorities. Yeah, the other danger of using a third party, they could rat on you. Anyway, continuing on. We're not going to be able to read the Chinese because it's in Chinese and we don't read Chinese, sorry. I'm not that capable. But I did see this other thing, and this is actually interesting to me because I've always argued that if there is one thing in the entire fucking cryptocurrency space that any regulator on earth has any business regulating, it's stablecoins. And, again, that I don't believe that any governmental regulators, I don't believe they have any business saying anything about cryptocurrencies. I mean, especially not with kids as young as 14 and younger even, who are writing apps and programs for this shit. I mean, come on now. That's how it's always been in crypto too. That it's always been kids doing this shit. It started in their mom's basement. Believe it or not, this shit all started in people's mom's basement. And it's funny to me when I hear somebody make an ageist disparagement on a user of cryptocurrencies, talking shit about them, that they live in their mom's basement. Hey, buddy, that's where the shit started. That's why this shit has any meaning, is because it was the money created by people living in their mom's basement. And I know you want to ignore that fact, but none of this shit means anything without us and them. Although I'm not really living in a basement per se, we're not going to go there. Continuing on, like I said, stable coins, bad juju. As far as I'm concerned, they are counterfeit fiat. Period. I don't care about attestments or attestations or any of that shit. I don't care. Not a single one of them has ever had an official audit or, had a federal regulator comb over their books. Ever. Hasn't ever happened. With that being said, I don't believe they have the authority to be issuing proxies for the US dollar and distributing them out into the fucking market. As far as I'm concerned, that is counterfeiting US dollars and other fiat currencies. So like I said, if there is anything, and I mean fucking anything, in the crypto space that they should be regulating or saying anything about, it's the thing that's serving as a proxy on our exchanges for the notes that they issue. Anyway, continuing on, I got this thing that's on CoinDesk. Stablecoin crisis could wreck global finance, Fed warns in a new report. And just for the record, okay, just to let you guys know how far ahead I am on this shit, look up hashtag GRBufu on Twitter, and you'll find it. Anyway, continuing on. Stablecoin crisis could wreck global finance, Fed warns in a new report. And we looked it up, it's 60 pages long, so we may or may not tap into some of it at least. The U.S. Federal Reserve Board on Friday warned that a stablecoin crisis could wreak havoc on the global economy and outlined the steps issuers must take to protect the status quo. The central bank's prognosis, buried deep in the November edition of its semi-annual financial stability report, rests on a stablecoin worst-case outcome, a run on the issuers, in which coin holders panic en masse and demand the return of the fiat that they staked. Stablecoins are a form of cryptocurrency that maintain their value by staking themselves to fiat currencies. While the volatility of Bitcoin, the most widely used and owned cryptocurrency, is a favorite talking point of its detractors, stablecoins are digital currencies supposedly backed one-to-one with a fiat asset or basket of currencies and designed to maintain a steady value. The report's concern is that something could go wrong with the way that the stablecoin works, be it operations, liquidity, or credit. Quote, "This loss of confidence could lead to a run," it said. In an extreme scenario, holders may be unable to liquidate, with potentially severe consequences for domestic or international economic activity, asset prices, or financial stability. Since the fraught launch of the Libra stablecoin concept in June, the Fed governors, along with the U.S. regulators and counterparts abroad, have been sounding alarm bells. Beyond the digital currency question, the integration with mass consumer social network could be disastrous, the report warns. I don't believe so. Quote, Stablecoin initiatives that are built on existing large and cross-border customer networks, such as Facebook's Libra, have the potential to rapidly achieve widespread adoption, the report said, echoing comments made by the Fed Governor Lael Brainerd last month. But now, condensed into a single document, the report consolidates and formalizes the regulator's concerns and notes the steps required to prevent a stablecoin catastrophe. The Fed's report said, 1. Issuers must disclose how their staking mechanism works. Number 2. Issuers must protect customer data privacy while maintaining KYC records to prevent illicit use. 3. Issuers must disclose their terms of service. 4. Issuers must inform customers if they have any rights to the underlying asset. You don't issue a proxy for an asset that you actually have. You just use the asset that you have. Duh! As the Group of Seven has noted, no global stablecoin project should begin operation until the legal, regulatory, and oversight challenges and risks outlined in this report are adequately addressed through appropriate designs and by adhering to regulation that is clear and proportionate to the risks. Yeah, whatever. We're going to do it. We're going to dive into their fucking bullshit, because I would like to see what their mindset is with this. And I remember checking it's on page 44 out of 60. So, I mean, you could read through all of it, but let's at least read the table of contents to give you an idea of where they're at here. Purpose, framework overview, asset valuations, borrowing by businesses and households, leverage in the financial sector, funding risk, near-term risks to the financial system, figure notes. Boxes. What has been happening to the liquidity of U.S. Treasury and equity futures markets, the recent decline in interest rates and implications for financial stability, global stablecoins and financial stability, page 40, salient shocks to financial stability cited in market outreach. I said overreach. Yeah, it's more like reach around. Anyway, let's get around to page 40. Page 40. Scroll. Alright, page 41 of 60, because apparently 40 doesn't really have anything on it. Non-being financial terms. What is that business? I don't know. I'm always terribly interested in this stuff, so, when I'm reading it, okay, maybe I can review it. Anyway, got this thing. It's on, I guess it's number 4, page 41 out of 60 of this report on the FedReserve.gov webpage. Funding risk. Despite notable volatility in short-term funding markets, banks, securities dealers, money market mutual funds, also referred to as money market funds or MMFs, motherfuckers, and other financial market participants to lend to and borrow from each other for short periods, typically ranging from overnight to 2 weeks, against high-quality collateral. These short-term secured loans are known as repurchase agreements, repos. The repo market allows securities dealers to finance their own inventories of Treasury securities or to finance purchases of Treasury securities by levered investors, such as hedge funds. Interest rates on these and other short-term loans among financial institutions spiked in mid-September, and some rates remained relatively elevated through early October. And that's not exactly what we're looking for here. Where the fuck is it? Liquid assets, short-term, blah, 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 boxes. Where's this boxes? Damn it, Jim. Let me see if this thing has a search. No, it doesn't look like it does. That's a shame. Let me see if I can find it. Page. Control F. Stablecoin. Here we go. And it's actually, they lied. It's on page 46. Global stablecoins and financial stability. Stablecoins are a form of cryptocurrency whose value is supposed to be tied to an underlying asset or basket of assets. Innovations that foster faster, cheaper, and more inclusive payments could complement existing payment systems and improve consumer welfare if appropriately designed and regulated. However, the possibility for a stablecoin payment network to quickly achieve global scale introduces important challenges and risks related to financial stability, monetary policy, safeguards against money laundering and terrorist financing, and consumer and investor protection. Stablecoins could become a new medium of exchange. Price volatility is one of the key problems that has limited the use of early cryptocurrencies as a payment instrument. Not true at all. Extreme fluctuations in the value of Bitcoin, for example, have made it a poor medium of exchange. The dollar value of Bitcoin might double in a few hours. Stablecoins attempt to address this volatility by seeking to tie their value to an asset, for example, domestic currency, or a basket of assets, for example, a portfolio of sovereign currencies. Stablecoin initiatives that are built on existing large and cross-border customer networks, such as Facebook's Libra, have the potential to rapidly achieve widespread adoption. These initiatives are referred to as global stablecoins. But, if poorly designed and unregulated, could negatively affect financial stability. A global stablecoin network, if poorly designed and unregulated, could pose risks to financial stability. The failure of a stablecoin to operate as expected could disrupt other parts of the financial system. For example, the inability to convert stablecoins into domestic currency on demand or to settle payments on time could create credit and liquidity dislocations in the economy. If a stablecoin's credit, liquidity, market, and operational risks are managed ineffectively, it could face a loss of confidence. This loss of confidence could lead to a run where many holders attempt to liquidate their stablecoins at the same time. In an extreme scenario, holders may be unable to do so, with potentially severe consequences for domestic or international economic activity, asset prices, or financial stability. Stablecoins must meet safeguards against money laundering and terrorist financing. If they did that, they would lose like 90% of their value in the market. The anonymity often found in stablecoins could be used to obscure financial transparency and facilitate money laundering, terrorist financing, and other financial crimes. In other words, not giving us our cut. Financial institutions are subject to customer due diligence and other anti-money laundering regulations intended to help detect and disrupt illicit activity, meaning untaxed commerce. Addressing such vulnerabilities is critical for any stablecoin. Regulators in many jurisdictions have made it clear that stablecoin issuers, operators, and intermediaries are responsible for preventing their systems from being used by criminals to obscure their identity, location, and transactional activity, and for ensuring compliance with anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing laws and regulations in each jurisdiction in which they operate. You know how fucking impossible that is? Do you have any fucking idea how impossible what they're asking is? Anyway, continuing on. Consumer and investor protection will be crucial. Yeah, you've already failed at that. If you hadn't already fucking failed at that, Bitcoin wouldn't even exist. So there, fuck you. Continuing. With any financial product, it is key that consumers and investors understand how it works and are aware of the product's relevant costs and fees, terms and conditions, and risks. Stablecoin issuers, operators, and intermediaries should fully disclose the terms of their services. Disclosures should clearly detail consumer and investor rights and protections, which are none, including whether the holder of the stablecoin has any rights to the underlying asset, which they don't. Issuers should be transparent on how the stablecoin is tied to the underlying asset, which it doesn't have. Holders must be protected against erroneous and fraudulent transactions to receive recourse in the event of any unauthorized use. In addition, holders' data privacy must be appropriately maintained. Alright, now see, there's a contradiction. In requiring the compliance with all your anti-money laundering bullshit, you have to violate our data privacy. So in order for them to maintain our data privacy, they must not comply with you. You see the difficulty you're presenting here? Yeah, continuing on. The Federal Reserve is closely monitoring the risks of stablecoins. No, you're not. Given the array of risks and unaddressed issues to date, the Federal Reserve and other regulators are cooperating closely to ensure that any stablecoin system with global scale and scope must address a core set of legal and regulatory challenges before it can operate. As the Group of Seven has noted, no global stablecoin project should begin operation until the legal, regulatory, and oversight challenges and risks outlined in this report are adequately addressed through appropriate designs and by adhering to regulation that is clear and proportionate to the risks. No, bullshit. In order to give you what you want, they would have to disclose way more information than you actually require in order to be able to assess their actual solvency status. And really, that's all that's necessary to assess in order to understand the risks that they in their operations present to the market at large. Do they have the fucking money that they say that they have? And that is the one place where you are utterly failing. See, you don't even have to talk to iFinex to understand exactly how many US dollars they have in their custody. You don't. See, you have partnerships with other central banks around the planet, and you can talk to them. And if you can't, then what is the purpose of having 13 central banks that report directly to you, that you're like supposedly the leader of? You know, I mean, if you can't do that, then you're obviously not the leader and you're not doing your fucking job. You know, a lot of the risks that they're attempting to foist onto cryptocurrencies are inherent within fiat currency systems by default. You know, all of this KYC bullshit, they require companies that probably aren't even equipped to do so up front to hold on to all of your information, you know, your transaction activity, how many trades you make, how much money you made per trade, so on and so forth. They require all of this information to be stored on databases. I think it's for like 7 years or some shit like that. And you know, it's just creating, these requirements create honeypots. And what's worse is a lot of these exchanges, because they can't afford to do it themselves, they offload it onto AWS instances, where they've got some fucking bullshit service based out of Uzbekistan that is supposedly certified and regulated and licensed and all that, but other bullshit to handle it, who is in turn using an AWS instance to conduct their business for them. I mean, we've already seen this with, I think it was AT&T or somebody like that. One of these organizations, no, it was AWS themselves, that they had been using a third party to store their users' data, and it itself got compromised. And so that in turn compromised their customers' data. Anyway, continuing on. So again, these requirements create the liability because it turns Amazon and other organizations, the exchanges that you trade with, your bank, it turns all of them into huge honeypots of information. Not to say they aren't wanting to store your information for themselves so they themselves could monetize it. But it creates the incentives for all kinds of fucked up shit. I think I found something concerning the SIM swap stuff. And I think this is one of those things where AT&T got the arm put on them concerning their liability in the issue. And so they rolled and they gave up the customer data, or the what do you call it, data? Not customer data, the the data from the people that actually worked there, their customers. Yeah, here we go. This is on CoinDesk. U.S. authorities arrest alleged SIM swappers after crypto thefts. This is by Nicholas D. And it was authored November 14th, 2019 at 1938 UTC. So yes, penis. The FBI arrested two Massachusetts residents on Thursday on charges of attempting to steal cryptocurrency and hijack social media accounts from individuals by SIM swapping their phones. According to a press release, the U.S. Department of Justice charged Eric Meeks, 21, and Declan Harrington, 20, on counts of conspiracy, wire fraud, computer fraud, abuse, and identity theft for allegedly targeting cryptocurrency company executives and other individuals, quote, who likely had significant amounts of cryptocurrencies, as well as those who had high value or OG social media account names. The two allegedly sought to steal more than $550,000 in cryptocurrency from 10 different individuals and apparently secured access to 2 social media accounts. The victims were not identified through the indictment, briefly described several of their connections to the crypto space. One victim owned a Bitcoin teller machine, while another ran a, quote, blockchain-based business. A number of individuals in the cryptocurrency space have fallen victim to SIM swapping, where attackers pose as the owners of a cell phone number, convincing cellular service providers to give them access to the victim's accounts. By taking control of a cell phone number, attackers are able to log into social media and sometimes crypto exchange accounts, giving them access to users' holdings and digital presence. Messari's Ryan Selkis, CoinCenter's Niraj Agrawal, and VideoCoin's Seth Shapiro have all reported facing such issues in recent weeks. Michael Turpin, a prominent investor in the crypto space, has filed lawsuits after being SIM swapped, taking on both his mobile provider AT&T and the alleged perpetrator. While his case against AT&T is ongoing, he won $75 million in a case against Manhattan resident Nicholas Turglia, 21. Similarly, Seattle-based Garrett Bennett is suing Bittrex, claiming that the exchange failed to act in time to protect against a SIM swap targeting the angel investor. The DOJ has previously charged another individual, Ohio resident Dawson Bakes, 20, alleging that he targeted more than 50 individuals to SIM swap. According to Thursday's press release, the FBI and Internal Revenue Service Division of Criminal Investigations are investigating the case. Yeah, and so, I don't know. It seems to me that they're probably just rolling on their proxies at this point. I know it's kind of conspiratorial and shit like that. But, AT&T, they have access to all of your information, all of your cell phone records, everything. They've kept every cell phone or every phone call you've made I think it's since 1983 or 1984 they've recorded it. And so at some point or another, they would probably hear developers talking to their associates about what their plans were. Because they're using their phone as a means of communication with them, right? Every email sent from an AT&T device, every instant message, every phone call has been tracked. Every transaction from that phone has been tracked. And here is the other conundrum, though, and you really can't get past it, is that they're really fucking convenient, okay? That they record and track all of that shit. They record and track every single wire tower or wireless tower that your device interacts with at all times. So there is no possible way, unless of course AT&T has an intentional lapse, a window in their info security setup here. There's no possible way that somebody hundreds of miles away from you, or even tens of miles away from you, could convince AT&T's customer service that they are you. SIM swaps should be absolutely impossible. Impossible. And I say that because as a former customer service agent, I had a minor glimpse of the kind of data that those people have access to. Okay, and they can do things like verify physical addresses. And there are appropriate ways to ask it to where you're not feeding it to the fucking social engineer or whoever it is that's trying to gain access to somebody else's account. But there are certain things, your IMEI number, the devices, there's a couple of numbers that are like ingrained into every single individual device that IDs that device. Every fucking contact it makes with the cell phone tower, with the wireless hub, with the wireless device. All of that shit is tracked and recorded on your device and uploaded to servers, both for AT&T and all of the other little services, Facebook, Twitter, and all those other guys. They're always using your phone that way. Okay, so, the idea that SIM swaps have been possible within the last 10 years without AT&T knowing it is complete and utter bullshit. Bullshit. They're either willingly ignoring it to facilitate criminal activity by both government and corporate organizations and private individuals that they like, or just to allow for a window of possibility for that thing to happen. It's plausible deniability, man. There's a lapse in our security. Oh, shucky darn, you just lost $24 million in Bitcoin. Sorry, dude. If you don't like our service, you can use Verizon. And they probably got something in their fucking end user license agreement that says it's okay. But here's the other thing, and it's I really hope that they continue to have these stories in the news, up front, because I think there's the possibility that one of the reasons why AT&T has been so willing to go to court over this is because there's a provision in their duties as your service provider to act as a proxy for the federal government. So if you are under some sort of investigation by the Federal Bureau of Investigation or the NSA or the CIA or the DEA or any of the other fucking alphabet soup of organizations, the SEC, the FDIC, whoever, that they could be investigating you, and that AT&T was allowing that level of access specifically due to the investigations on you. Now, of course, that would open up an entirely different can of worms, and then Seth would have an even bigger target to empty the wallet of. Because again, none of this shit needs to happen. Your data does not need to be so available that it's so easy to compromise. But it's being made that way by federal mandates and state mandates and city mandates and corporate mandates. They all have their own little policies and they all apply to your data. That's why I don't have a functioning Twitter account at the moment, because they decided that what I was saying to somebody else was quote unquote targeted harassment. I have never, in the entire time that I have used Twitter, I have never targeted anyone for harassment. I can't say the same for myself, though. I can guarantee you that I have, in fact, been the target of much harassment on Twitter. So in that sense, I'm okay with having been kicked off of it. But it just the same. There were relationships that I had exclusively on Twitter that I've lost access to and that I can't maintain there. If I want to maintain access to those people, I have to establish them via other means. And that's fine. But them having that level of control over my access to the rest of the network, it's kind of fucked up. But hey, it's their service, it's their servers. They're allowing me access to a lot of other people. During the time that I had it, I enjoyed it quite a bit. But anyway, it's neither here nor there. The fact is, like I said, SIM swaps, they shouldn't even be possible. The fact that they happen at all, I believe, is indicative of corporate and governmental interaction in illegal ways. That our Fourth Amendment rights are being blatantly abused. Because basically it's like you're handed a prison cell as a phone. A prison cell that's got a fucking video camera and a microphone that's constantly uploading to your service provider. That, as long as it's on, right, that's happening. And that's not really an option. I mean, it is the only option. But it shouldn't be. We should be able to use the internet completely anonymously. And I mean, I don't give a fuck that means that some anonymous person can hack something and really fuck shit up. You know why I don't care? Because if somebody is that motivated to hurt you, it means that maybe you're doing something wrong. I know that's not really a popular perspective to take. But you're not the center. We're not the center of the universe. Other people have perspectives, and when they look at you being an asshole, the ability to disclude you from their relationships should be theirs. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. And as far as where I want to go with that, how about a little bit of Tool, Schism, here on Coin Metal. Oh man, I thought I had this on Winamp this whole time. Thankfully, I've just been really, really quiet, so you've probably been able to hear the music a little bit. Well, anyway, I wanted to tap on this. I was actually going to break in that song just so I could read this one really quick here. This is on Cointelegraph.com. It's by William Suberg. So yes, penis. This is authored November 14th, 2019. Got Bitcoin? U.S. Fed warns national debt growth is not sustainable. The head of the United States Federal Reserve has admitted current economic policy is, quote, not sustainable, but that it is not its job to fix it. Speaking during testimony before Congress Joint Economic Committee on November 13th, Jerome Powell noted that currently the U.S. national debt is growing faster than nominal GDP. Powell, solving debt spiral is not up to the Fed. Ultimately, in the long run, that's not a sustainable place to be, he said. Powell continued. How to fix that? It's easy to say that. How do you do that when do you do that is an issue that is up to you and not up to us. As Cointelegraph reported, U.S. debt has now topped $23 trillion, around $70,000 per head of the population, or more than $1 million for each Bitcoin that will ever exist. On the night of November 14th alone, Fed distributed funds to banks worth 12.7 million Bitcoin, while its balance sheet was expanding towards $4 trillion. For Powell, however, resolving the debt crisis simply means making growth beat debt, and even failure to do so would not equal chaos. Quote, I would be remiss in not pointing out that the consequences of not addressing it is just that. Our kids and grandkids will be spending their tax dollars servicing debt rather than on the things they really need, he continued. Trump wants negative interest rates. The comments came as U.S. President Donald Trump renewed calls for negative interest rates, effectively charging savers to store fiat currency, and criticized the Fed for not introducing them. Quote, remember, we are competing with nations who openly cut interest rates so that now many are actually getting paid when they pay off their loan. Whoever heard of such a thing? Give me some of that. Give me some of that money, he said in a speech to the Economic Club of New York. Debt-driven economic policy and its consequences were the main motivation behind Bitcoin, which appeared after the 2008 economic crisis. As hard money with a deflationary supply impossible to manipulate, Bitcoin is increasingly compared to gold as a hedge against the current erosion in the value of fiat currencies. And gold and silver are actually going to return to their traditional positions as fiat currency bellwethers. We are going to have a major crisis in the paper markets for such commodities. Because as dire as the situation may seem with regard to the United States debt to the Federal Reserve, it is nothing by comparison to the volume of paper certificates that aren't backed by any actual volumes of physical metals. And governments like Russia and China are well aware of this. And they have been stacking gold coins. While you've been stacking sats, they've been stacking gold. Okay, they've been stacking silver. They've been stacking precious metals. Because it's clear that at some point they are going to need that physical collateral, that verifiable collateral, to be backing their currency, whether it be digital or paper. Anyway, it is with that I'd like to close out this episode. Thank you very much for listening. I certainly do appreciate the support. We'll be back again on Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and so until then, I want y'all to trade safe, do your homework, and watch out for your own bunghole, because nobody else is going to do it for you. And as far as our last dance is concerned, I haven't actually picked anything out. And what's new about that, right? But I was planning on playing a little bit of Death Clock, and so here it is. The Gears, Last Dance, here on Coin Metal. Thank you again for listening, and y'all have an excellent weekend. Good night.